Destiny, Adam Mockler. They're at an Unfuck America tour event, and they were debating some MAGA people. Now, I've watched some of it already, but so we're just gonna start from the angry white man. You know, I think we should change the stereotypes about like angry black women to angry white men. I think they're more common.
This type
Don't
of thing
insult me
on a
on
day-to-day
stage, okay?
basis, like you
Hold the
guys
mic closer to your
but
mouth, please.
I'm just going to call you a couple
Hold
of
the
things.
mic closer.
Thank you. I was really, Steve. You really like Biden. You think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about the pullout in Afghanistan?
What do I think about the what?
The Afghanistan withdrawal.
I mean, it wasn't ideal. It sucks.
Ideal? It
Yeah.
wasn't ideal? That's
wasn't
an
ideal.
understatement, bro. I mean, hundreds of people were left behind. Thousands of people lost their lives because of the way they did it.
Thousands? I wasn't like there was an ISIS terrorist attack.
I know.
Well, but like, aren't you guys? Well, I don't know if you're conservative, but didn't you guys say like no
Thousands
Afghanis?
of Afghanis that helped the American troops were left behind to be killed by the Taliban because the Taliban knew.
This is I know all the talking points when it comes to MAGA are created after Trump says it, and then they turn their brains off and then just listen and regurgitate everything he says. When it comes down to the Afghanistan pullout, I'll be curious. This is not something I'm particularly invested in. I never really looked into it because this is kind of a misnomer in the sense that there's no way to prove if there was a better way to do the operation itself. If the ultimate conclusion is to get everybody out of there as fast as possible, it's always going to be messy. That's just common sense. But the reason why I don't really buy this as a talking point for MAGA is because these are the same people that do not give two shits about the Afghanis. They don't. The amount of Afghanis that are prevented from coming into the United States that helped the United States of the Americans, all of them said, "Oh, they're not American. They can go fuck themselves." That's basically what the MAGA rhetoric. And then all the people's like temp status or all the people's visas are getting revoked that were also Afghanis because of the one shooter. They don't give a fuck about them either. So you always have to parse out what is a real, genuine, good faith talking point to further the conversation and expand on the issue taking place. When you talk with MAGA, they will pretend like they are these loving people that care about the well-being of others. In reality, they are not. They aren't. They're selfish. A lot of them are. So you got to really kind of extrapolate. Is this just so they can get a one-up on Biden, the person they dream about every single night? Or is this a point being made purely because they cared about the situation taking place? Very important thing to uncover.
Who they were. They hunted them down and they killed them all. Biden couldn't give a shit.
Well, no, I think Biden gave a shit.
No, it was.
Well, hold on. Wait. The person who abandoned allies the most would have been Trump when he pulled out of Syria and abandoned our Kurdish allies to the Turkish fighters. Number one. Number two, the Afghanistan pullout was the Afghanistan pullout was an issue. Trump negotiated that pullout. Not only did Trump negotiate that pullout, before Trump left office, when he talks about the military ignoring his orders, the biggest order that they ignored was when he said pull all the military out of Afghanistan. Yeah.
This is a problem.
Okay, what's the problem?
When we or you guys debate other people on subjects, you want to win, you want to stand your ground, you don't want to cede ground, you don't want to tell me that I was right about anything. You're going to give me a counter argument. Trump did this or that. I'm talking about abandoning the Air Force Base before you get the civilians out. What the fuck?
So you wanted to come out here, make a point, and then now you're whining and complaining about someone giving you factual counter arguments. Oh, you just want to come out here and give counter arguments. No, you should just listen to me complaining bitch like a little whiny pussy. So that's just kind of the energy, the beta energy I'm getting from this guy. Because how are you going to come to an event about talking, conversing, dialogue, debate, and complain about debate? That don't make sense.
Holy shit. Did the media call him out on it? No.
What you mean? His popularity suffered the most in the entire press. I don't know if it ever recovered after the Afghanistan pullout. I agree that like it was definitely not ideal, but the issue is,
I just want to point out several reasons why the guy
let's talk about the pullout deal that Trump negotiated. When Trump negotiated that pullout deal, the Afghanistan government wasn't even part of the deal. He went to Doha, he went to Qatar, and he negotiated the deal with the Taliban. When the Taliban was sweeping through after the U.S. was pulling out, there were Afghanistan National Army soldiers that didn't even know what they'd negotiated. That's kind of fucked up, right?
It was obviously and indisputably an absolute embarrassment debacle that cost uncounted lives.
Well, it was like 11 that died in the ISIS.
You love the guy that caused that. What about the guy that promised there will be no vaccine mandates and then tells everybody in the military?
Did he promise there'd be no vaccine mandates?
That was part of his. That was a campaign promise in 2020. And then he forces all these military guys and women to either take the shot or get out.
Don't the military take like 20 or 30 vaccines ever? Like they take a ton of vaccines.
All right, so I want to look at this. Destiny and Mockler are a great team. They're definitely pretty good. From the little I saw, they do bounce off well with each other. You know, in the situations like this, when it's like in a very heated environment, one of the things that I really like to do is have fun with it. That's just, I know it's all like serious stuff, but sometimes you gotta bring in like the humor and have fun with it, especially when you realize that some of these debates are just falling on deaf ears. It's just your points are going in one ear and coming out the other. So you just gotta have fun with it at that point. All right, let me see this. Factcheck.org. The timeline of U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. This is not something I've really looked into it in depth, so I'm curious to see. The blame game has begun over who lost Afghanistan. The fact is, President Biden and his predecessor, Donald Trump, were both eager to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan and what Biden referred to in his August 16 speech as America's longest war. The Trump administration in February 2020 negotiated a withdrawal agreement with the Taliban that excluded the Afghan government. This is what Destiny was referring to. Freed 5,000 imprisoned Taliban soldiers and set a date certain of May 1st, 2021 for the final withdrawal. And the Trump administration kept to the pad, reducing U.S. troop levels for about 13,000 to 2,500, even though the Taliban continued to attack Afghan government forces and welcome al-Qaeda terrorists into the Taliban leadership. So the start of the process regarding the withdrawal seems to started from Donald Trump. But I know that's not something that's often brought up. Biden delayed the May 1st withdrawal date that he inherited, but ultimately his administration pushed ahead with a plan to withdraw by August 31st, despite obvious signs that the Taliban wasn't complying with the agreement and had a stated goal to create an Islamic government in Afghanistan after the U.S. left, even if it meant it had to continue our war to achieve our goal. It takes so much effort to show Trump's lies. Because it's so easy to just make stuff up. It is beyond easy to do that. I don't have to go up facts. I could just try to draw logical, connective points that make enough sense to be plausible, and then throw out information that all needs to be fact checked. It's the easiest way to conduct politics. Lie. It's so annoying. Biden assured Americans last month that a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan was not inevitable and denied that U.S. intelligence assessed that the Afghan government would likely collapse, but it did, and quickly. Here we lay out many of the key diplomatic decisions, military actions, presidential pronouncements, and experts' assessment of the withdrawal agreement that ended the U.S. military's 20-year war in Afghanistan. Okay, so this probably should be its own thing because there's so much detail here. What I might do is when I do my podcast episode, Research on a Dime, I'm going to talk about this. So you can listen to me break down all this information in a more digestible way if you listen to the podcast episode or the live show. But it's very clear that this is a collaborative effort in terms of what happened with the withdrawal. I'm curious to see the postponement, but he had to postpone, but he still, I said this earlier, try to get everybody out as quickly as possible, and basically just gave up on Afghanistan. But the fact that Trump gets no blame for the situation just tells you how bad faith and pathetic MAGA are. Let's go back.
Promise 2020 Biden, there will be no
I
vaccine
don't think you made that
mandates.
vaccine promise. And
That's a
also,
matter
when
of
you're in the
fact, you don't
military,
know
you
that.
get a lot of vaccines.
If
That's
you-
part of what you do in the military. You're not
Listen.
pussy. You get vaccinated against
Wrong,
diseases.
wrong. Nobody
No,
agrees
you
with you. Do
don't- when
people
you-
agree
when you
with this
deploy
guy
out
on this?
there-
So the military should have been forced to take the shot? Yes
Bro,
or no?
how many shots? Yes.
Is that a good idea?
Wait, wait,
Yes,
wait.
let's
How many
force them to take
shots
the
do you have to take? You go up and down a line.
Experimental technology, not even a vaccine. And
It is a vaccine.
It
What do you mean
didn't
it's not a
do what it was
vaccine?
promised to do. It didn't stop the spread. It didn't keep people from catching it. It was completely ineffective.
It
and
was totally
wrong.
effective. What are you talking
Wrong.
about?
Oh my God, this guy's an insane person. Let's be very clear about something. Let's be very clear about
You in
something.
the military. You're not pussy. You get vaccinated against
Wrong.
diseases. Promise. And
That's a
also,
matter
when
of
you're in the
fact, you don't
military,
know
you
that.
get a lot of vaccines.
If
That's
you-
part of what you do in the military.
There will be no vaccine.
The military take like 20 or 30 vaccines ever. Like they take a ton of vaccines. You get-
Campaign promise 20 the shot or get out.
Don't-
Is that promise in 2020? And then he forces all these military guys and women to either take the shot or get out.
Don't
Is
the
that
military
okay with you?
take like 20 or 30 vaccines ever? Like they take a ton of vaccines. You get-
Campaign promise 2020 Biden.
I want to be very clear about something. The military gets hella shots, and we don't go like, "Oh, what's in it?" No, we just do it. When I went to boot camp, we got so many shots to start out, and then we got that big needle right in the buttocks. Yeah, we got a big needle right in the buttocks, that meaty part of the buttocks. That thing hurt. But you just get shots. You listen and get the shots. You sign up to be a part of the military, so you get the shots that you're told to get. So that's pretty common. I don't know what he's talking about.
There will be no
Nah, I
vaccine
don't think you made that
mandates.
vaccine promise. And
That's a
also,
matter
when
of
you're in the
fact, you don't
military,
know
you
that.
get a lot of vaccines.
If
That's
you-
part of what you do in the military. You're not pussy. You get vaccinated against diseases.
Wrong. Nobody
No,
agrees
you don't
with you.
get.
Do
When
people
you
agree with this
deploy
guy
out
on
there,
this? So the military should have been forced to take the shot? Yes
Bro,
or no?
how many shots? Yes.
Is that a good idea?
They all take shots and vaccines. That's just like normal. When you join the military, that's just normal. I mean, yeah, part of being in the military is signing parts of your rights away. That's just part of it. I don't think that's a surprise. Desolate's other N words. How inappropriate. In his wife. Hey man, some people live that lifestyle. A lot of famous people and a lot of politicians live that lifestyle too. Trump lived that lifestyle. Trump loved to fuck other people's wives. So, hey man, if that's you, that's you. That's not me. I couldn't do it. I could not live the destiny lifestyle. That dude's a sexual demon. No, sexual deviant. But ultimately, yeah, the military just gets shots. That's just normal. This guy's yapping. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Wait.
Let's
How many
force them to take
shots
the
do you have to take? You go up and down a line.
Experimental technology, not even a vaccine. And
It is a vaccine. What do you mean it's not a
didn't do what it
vaccine?
was promised to do. It didn't stop the spread. It didn't keep people from catching it. It was completely ineffective.
It was totally
wrong.
effective. What are you talking about?
Wrong. Anybody
So this guy lives in Delulu land. It's this land that people who are fucking moronic, who live in this very niche part of the internet, just don't know what the fuck they're talking about and just be fed propaganda of lies. Ain't no way he's saying the vaccine didn't work. How stupid can you be? How dumb can you be if you're saying the vaccine didn't work and didn't prevent anything? These people, I swear to God, they are plagues. They are plagues. They're worse than the vaccines that they are insinuating cause all this hurt. If we're talking about misinformation or vaccines, which causes more people to get hurt? Amen. Brian, I know you ain't defending being a cuck. You ain't about that life. I just said I'm not about that life. Jesus not locked in, WT. He not locked in. I just said I couldn't do it. Destiny is a deviant. I could not do that. The fuck? The guy that I know, Mr. Jesus Christ, he would listen to me. And anytime I say something to him, he would listen to me.
that knows anything about it knows it was wrong to force people to take it.
Well, if we're going to do fanfics, I mean, we can say whatever we want, I guess. Yeah, okay. It was very effective. It was super effective.
So how about this thing? Let's say defending our democracy, a threat to our democracy. What about democracy? What is the basic principle of democracy?
Well, it depends on, I guess, what you ask conservatives.
2 words.
Well, how about a peaceful transition to power?
Majority rule.
What?
Majority rule.
That's not democracy. What do you mean?
Okay, but democracy is not majority rule?
Not always, no.
No, not always. If democracy was majority rule, then the majority will take advantage of the minority. Isn't that a big principle that we do not like? I mean, since he's a white man, I'm sure that he really likes the majority rules concept. Unless he lived in a country where white men are not the majority.
Don't we have like the protection for minority rights? Isn't that kind of important?
No, I'm sorry. Majority rule is the principle of democracy.
Really? What about the Benjamin Franklin quote of like democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep vote?
I'm convinced this is a bot. I'm convinced the people like this, they're just stupid. They're brain dead. They're just bots. Rage bait bots. The internet is evolving. These bots are rage baiting. Rage bait. Keep on messaging in the chat though. I appreciate it.
On what is liberty
basic principle of democracy, yes or no?
Okay, we're talking to the audience now.
You guys don't want to participate.
Dude, to debunk your point, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote.
The point being that 70%...
Wait, I just want to be clear. Do you think Hillary Clinton should be president in 2016 since she won the popular vote?
Majority rules.
Majority rules?
You talk too fast, man. I can't understand.
Wait, yeah, let me be much slower. Should Hillary Clinton have been president in the year 2016 of our Lord because she won the popular vote?
No, because we are in a democratic republic, not a democracy.
We're a republic or a democracy.
So democracy's majority rules unless I don't want that person to win. It's me. I'm majority. So it's actually because I'm a white man, majority is white men rules. So I know I said majority rules of democracy, but it's really just white men rules. So Hillary Clinton didn't get most of the votes for the white men. So obviously she couldn't be president. But Daddy Trump, Daddy dick sucking Trump, Daddy I'll let him fuck my wife Trump, that is the majority ruler. Yeah, this is just stupid. This is ridiculous. This whole idea that he's trying to make the argument that majority rules is simply just democracy. What cesspool did this guy come from? Jesus. Pure democracy is indeed bad. Is indeed bad. Oh,
did he just score a point or something? We are living in a democratic republic. Of course, we have the electoral college. There's nothing that we're going to change about that unless the convention.
So it's not majority rule. You know, listen. You want to know how I define democracy?
Is I didn't say.
I define democracy with 4 words: peaceful transfer of power. Who's the president who thwarted the peaceful transfer of power?
That's not the point.
Correct.
So you're not going to answer that.
The point I wanted to make is
who thwarted the peaceful transfer of power? Everyone.
There was a peaceful.
Thank you.
There was a peaceful transfer of power, even in 2021.
After 12 hours of people saying hang Mike Pence, that's not peaceful. He delayed it.
But I don't want to go
okay,
there.
so you don't
Fancy, this is the best rage bait I've seen. Like, it's so dumb, it's hilarious. It's so dumb, it's hilarious. You know what? Keep on cooking, Fancy. Keep on cooking.
We're going to actually talk about democracy.
Talk about this. We're talking about Biden. And the fact is...
And you said he said Trump is a threat to democracy. And he said, how is he a threat to democracy?
Biden. I'm pointing out 4 good reasons why he was not to be respected at all.
Correct, Eddie, correct. One of these days I'll probably talk about the electoral college. I think there is a lot of conversation on like if it is the most efficient system in terms of really being indicative of what people want. I don't know. That's a conversation for a different day.
What years got knocked down? So 3 reasons.
Is that 70% of Americans polled numerous times in 2024 did not want to have an open border policy. Did the Biden administration respect that clear majority? No.
When there was a border bill, when there was a border bill,
70%,
when there was a border bill that was put up, who blocked that border bill?
The Republicans did because it was completely unnecessary in order to secure the border, as was proven 10 months ago when the border became secure.
So you want the president? So you want the president himself?
Based. It's very interesting how these people on the right try to use like religious symbolism or names or profile pictures, and they're definitely not Jesus-like. It's kind of weird. It's like when a woman dresses up like a man. You ain't a man. That's not how it works. What's up with Steve's sex crime thing? I don't know. I think he's still in court. If he's found guilty, then down with him. But still,
just do everything via executive order. You know that like Congress is a part of the government, right?
Hold on,
I just want to make sure. You know there's like there's a Congress, right? Okay. Congress can pass legislation to do big border stuff, right?
Yeah, but
so isn't it bad for Trump? Hold on. Wait. You know that like
masters are changing the subject.
I'm not changing the subject.
Trump
after 3 years,
the border funding that was in that bill in 2024 was not necessary in order to do
necessary for him to do random shit under executive order.
You're interrupting me.
Because your point is fucking retarded.
I'm making a point you don't want to hear.
You're not making a real point. The point, can Donald Trump do anything via executive order? Can Donald Trump do anything via executive? No.
You will see
no round. Hold on. Do you think that Donald Trump when the next president comes in, they could just undo everything Trump does? Right?
That's not the point.
Right? No, that is the point. Right. Can I hear that? Did he answer that?
He did answer like 3 questions.
Adam, can the next president undo anything that the previous president does if he only does it via executive order?
Absolutely.
Okay, wait. Do you agree with that, sir?
I didn't understand what you said.
Could the next president, hold on, I'll speak slowly, I'm sorry. Could the next president undo anything that Trump does via executive order?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so wouldn't it be better if we use the Congress to do immigration policy?
It's not necessary. The laws are already on the books. The Biden administration had the policy of not enforcing them.
What do they not enforce?
No,
they enforce everything. What do you mean?
Steve, 70.
Let's be very clear, because this guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. What happened after COVID is I always forget because there's so many titles. It was like, is it Title 9? It's like Title 9 or Title 42. I think it's Title 9 or Title 42. That order was done because COVID was over. So all those immigrants just started coming into the country. So Joe Biden can't enforce something that the time period was COVID is done. What is there to enforce? There was no open border policy because most of the asylum applications were denied. There was hella deportations by the Biden administration, and there was just a lot of people waiting at the border because of the Title 9, Title 42. I forget what it is. Now, you could question yourself, like, was this a good thing to stop all immigration during COVID? I think there's a fair point to say that it was probably the smart thing to do, but not realizing what would happen in response. All the people waiting to come in the country start stacking up in the moment it's kind of like Black Friday, right? Everybody was going crazy, waiting for the next deal. Everybody's outside Walmart, and then the moment they opened the gates with all the people waiting outside, it became fucking World War II in those stores. That's the same principle here. So there was no laws that were not being enforced, and the law that you're probably referring to, he can't because that period was over because COVID was over. But these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and yabba yabba yabba, jabba jabba jabba, just be chatting. Which sums up the world today. Jesus wept. This woman's cooking. This woman's cooking. Nah, that not Jesus loves this shit. It's crazy. That is crazy, but that is funny as fuck. That is crazy though. That's actually insane. I respect Jesus. I'm not religious, but I respect the concept. You feel me? Cali's 40 million, blah blah blah. Those two states wouldn't secure an election. I mean, I think it was just the premise. I'm fine with the premise. Don't have to be one-to-one.
8% of the country didn't want the open border policy. The Biden administration maintained the policy.
We didn't have open borders.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is that respecting?
From a proud Christian nationalist. Nice. Most people are not Christian. Sure, I agree. I feel that I smoked a little bit last night. You feel me?
Our democracy when a clear majority of 70% want
no,
the border
fantasy
policy
world that you constructed is not very respectful of our democracy.
2 points, and we'll give this one up, okay?
Okay.
Trump proved that the funding that the Democrats had said in 2024 was required in order to be able
to
close the border was not necessary in order to do it.
Okay, wait, be honest.
And
how mad are you? How mad are you that there are no mass deportations?
Let me make my 2 points.
One point at a time. There are no mass deportations, right?
Sorry?
There are no mass deportations, right? Mass deportations. Donald Trump, every time he gets on stage, he says there's 30 million illegals. Yeah. He's deported how many? Like 100,000, 200,000?
The criminals first, yeah.
So none. That's not happening. It's not happening.
Why do we want to put these people in prisons where they may belong if they came out of countries?
I don't know. You tell me. Didn't they build the alligator Alcatraz? I don't know. You tell me.
You didn't want to let me make.
So this guy's point about, oh, we don't need all this funding and judges because, you know, look at what Trump is doing. Trump is using a stick method or a scare tactic in order to prevent people to coming in. And he's just sending people out that is within paperwork. Everything he's doing is like very, very, very unethical. And it doesn't fix the problem. The problem when it came down to immigration is the process, the asylum process. Because a lot of it is people coming in, waiting for their application because it's so fucking back-ended. And people are on this process waiting for their court papers to kind of get pushed through for like 10 to 20 years. So he's not doing jack shit to fix that. That is not getting fixed at all. That's not even getting attempted to be fixed. All they're doing is pushing this down the road for the Democrats to fix it, because of course they're going to do it, because you do need money to hire more judges to start pushing this shit through. And you probably need to fix and remedy what the procedures should be in terms of streamlining the asylum and just immigration process in general. But also, all of what Trump is doing is just scaring people from coming in the country, which is why not only is immigration at an all-time low, but our tourism is at an all-time low, and people just don't fucking respect America right now. And also, when it comes down to the people he's deporting, he's just deporting anybody. You look Hispanic, get the fuck out of my country. So, no, he's not doing anything to fix anything. Our immigration system is still fucked, and he's not deporting nearly as many people as he says he was. So yeah, this is some bullshit. That's just sad because it makes people feel good.
My point. You don't.
Well, I wanted to go one point at a time because I wanted to address the factual foundation for them. I understand you don't want to do that, but go ahead.
In the middle of my point.
Okay, let's hear point two.
That's not the way to debate.
Let's hear point two.
The middle of the 2 points. Yeah, go.
Let's hear point two.
Go. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Let's hear your point two. I want to hear it.
Yeah. So number one, I've already said it. Clear majority wanted the border closed. Biden administration didn't respect that. 2, Trump proved that the funding that the Democrats said in 2024 was required in order to be.
Isn't this against Christianity to call Trump a savior? I don't know. I feel like it's against. I don't know.
Be able to close the border was not necessary.
This is not a long-term solution that Trump has proposed. This Biden border bill actually had increased asylum judges, which would help streamline the asylum process. Donald Trump has not proposed any real long-term solution. Listen. It's the same problem with tariffs.
There are laws on the books already.
There needs to be continuity between administrations in policy. When it comes to tariffs, for example, if you do all of your tariffs via executive order, there's not enough continuity to actually. Listen, let me finish. To actually create the incentive for companies to move over. If you want tariffs to work, they have to be on the books through Congress. The same thing with immigration. You can't just have short-term solutions, sign the pen, not actually appoint more immigration judges or people who can process asylum claims. Yeah. This is not a real long-term solution. Honestly, it's awful.
That's a separate subject. The thing is...
That's a separate subject. That is the subject. What are you talking about? Adam Mockler was cooking. Adam.
That's the subject.
With the border policy in 2024, Steve brought it up. Steve said that the Republicans were blocking the border policy.
They were. You said that.
That was only a funding bill. It wasn't going to change any laws. All the laws are already on the books regarding how people are allowed to come into the country and how they're not allowed to come into the country. Next point. So Trump, why was Trump impeached the first time?
Was that for the Ukrainian thing, or was that the J6 thing?
The Ukrainian thing? What was it? What was it called?
Well, I think the issue was that he was making phone. I think he was making a phone call. I think he was calling the Ukrainian government and threatening to withdraw.
We have a similar issue in UK. The popular right-wing view is shoot the boats rather than fund the immigration courts or whatever. It's not really addressing the problem. We're not really having a serious conversation regarding what the problem is, and it's ridiculous. It's just, yeah.
Congressionally approved aid if they couldn't dig up dirt on his political fund.
I do presume, Steve, as a well-informed individual that you are, that you must have seen the video of Biden literally bragging on camera at the meeting of the Council on Foreign Relations about how he strong-armed Poroshenko to fire the prosecutor.
That's just not true,
hey,
Nancy.
You know what? I'm going to be leaving here. Looks at his watch, 6 o'clock. You know, if that prosecutor...
We don't need immigration based. Yeah, fuck. We just need tribes. Supreme Court overruled with prejudice that impeachment. Indeed.
Prosecutor that's looking into Burisma and the corruption that my son is involved in isn't fired in the next
why did nobody?
You're interrupting.
Final response.
Biden said it on camera. If that guy's not fired, you ain't getting the $1 billion loan guarantee.
Wait, God makes gods? I don't. The Bible I read says there's only one God. This is a different religion. Hey, man, shout out your religion. W. The problem is don't be undocumented. We were processed. What's the confusion? So people who are undocumented are waiting for the process. The problem we have in America is that the process takes so fucking long. People are here waiting for it to go through. So they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, which is why it's crazy that ICE is going after people after their court hearing, but their paperwork can't be either approved or denied until they go through the process. But it just takes a long time. That's the problem.
He did on camera, indisputably, exactly what Trump was impeached for. And the mainstream media didn't let the American people know about. What do you mean no?
Biden was representing the foreign policy of the Western world, saying that in order for Ukraine to qualify for discounted loans, they had to clean up the corruption of the political system. Showtime was the head of their prosecutorial, their DOJ. It's the equivalent of the DOJ.
You don't want to say, you know what, you're right.
We got to move on. Well, because you're not right. Why would I say no, you're right when you're not right?
Mic back to him.
We need the mic. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, thank you. Listen, I appreciate you. You're brave coming up talking. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But also, like, there's a reason why nobody cared what Biden said until the Republicans saw Donald Trump do really bad shit.
I literally did on camera.
Thank you. Let's get the next one. No, it's not the same thing. It's not even remotely the same thing.
Thank you, sir. No,
thank you for coming out chatting. Why'd you give the mic up, man? What are you doing? I'm just kidding. I'm fucking. Don't listen to me, man. You fucked up. Don't ever listen.
It should be a long process. Join the. Then don't stop bitching about them in the country waiting. Like, these people are waiting for the process and it's taking forever. And then you're mad at them waiting for the process? Like, we got to make up our minds. Ultimately, in order for our country to be better, one of the great things about it is the diversity and immigration. As a black man, I don't feel 0% about it because there was none pigmented immigrants before we died for it. The fuck you talking about? What the fuck are you yapping about? What are you yapping about? What? Base. A lot of base comments.
Hi, I'm Andrew Holmes. I am a student at UC Berkeley, and I'm a conservative.
And
my question is basically, you yourself said affordability is the issue right now. And I personally believe that Kamala's policies would have been quite disastrous for the economy. She wanted a 25% tax on unrealized gains above a certain threshold of money, but that's like the biggest investors that she's talking about there. 8% increase on capital gains tax. Investment would have been completely stifled. Then she also had inflationary policies like the child tax care credit, and also the $25K grant for first-time home buyers, and that would have caused just rampant inflation in the economy. And then further, she also pushed for an increase in minimum wage, which would have caused the loss of a ton of jobs that are entry-level, that are very vital to American workers. And so my question is basically, how would you back the fact that you both believe that affordability is the issue with her truthfully disastrous economic policies?
Yeah, what do you do about that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you support Donald Trump's tariff regime?
No.
Okay, so you don't support that. Did you vote for Trump?
I didn't vote. I was 17.
Okay, you would have voted for Trump?
Yes, because I do believe his economic policies are not as bad as Kamala's.
Really?
Kamala's were disastrous.
Disastrous. Okay.
Yes.
You framed Kamala's economic policies as if they were radical, and some of them were a bit like not radical, but some of them were pushing limits.
Not radical.
They're not radical, but you're saying like they would be disastrous.
They would be disastrous.
I think if we compare the two. I think if we compare the two candidates' economic policy, we can go to Kamala in 1 second, but Donald Trump's tariff regime, placing tariffs on every single country indiscriminately,
I don't
except
agree
for
with it.
Russia and North Korea, is like the definition.
I'm not talking about Trump's policies.
Okay, it's the definition of disastrous, but we're talking about Kamala.
Trump's,
we're comparing
yes,
the two
are
candidates.
inflationary. Kamala's would have literally killed investment. Like,
They would not
completely murdered it. What do you think happens when you take 25% of gains that haven't even been sold in investment? And then on top of that, once they do sell them, you take another 28%. Do you think anyone's going to want to invest?
Can I, real quick? So I think that the nice thing about Kamala Harris is that I agree that some of her economic policy probably would have been great. But the nice thing about like bad economic policy from Democrats is that I know it'll be checked by other people in the administration. Donald Trump has absolutely checks on any of the crazy economic stuff he does. So in terms of increasing like the child tax credit, I think Kamala could have done that, and I think it would have been fine, and I think we'd have been okay with that. But like in terms of like all the crazy deductions, everything she would have put for, like the wealth tax or whatever.
So there's two interesting points that are very, very worth talking about here. Also, what are you yapping about, rap star? Black people don't want other minorities to get benefits that weren't designed for them, and that will. Who fought for the? What are you fucking yet? Nobody agrees with this. Who agrees with this? 400 years of slavery, Mexican and other minorities stay where they're at until the coast was clear. This is rage bait. 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 You know what? Shout out rage bait. Shout out. Shout out you, boy. Shout out your rage bait. 18 trillion through tariffs.
I think that the economic advisors would have actually checked Kamala and said, like, hey, this is maybe not a great idea. Okay, so, but for Trump, nobody checks Trump on any of his economic policy.
Your argument here is you don't think her policies actually would have been pushed, so basically we should vote for her?
Yes, because
I think that's pretty ridiculous.
Well, you say it's ridiculous, but the issue is that, like, Donald Trump has gotten us to
civil rights movements for Black people. You're just wrong. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. There was multiple groups of people that was also part of the civil rights movement. It is obviously the ones that had the majority of the minorities were Black people, led by the most prolific figure in American history, Martin Luther King, and of course you can throw in Malcolm X in there as well. So this idea, bro, like Black people fought for only Black people, and all the other people don't deserve anything. What is this hyper Black nationalism? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? You lost the plot. You lost the plot. Base. I don't know what that means.
Except the world where a 10% tariff on every single country is like the moderate option, and any economist prior to Trump would have said like that's like suicide.
Yeah, it's probably George Washington. I would say one of, getting hyper focused on the semantics. MLK, one of, and for in context of like civil rights, yeah, MLK.
No,
so I think the issue is that, like, so if a Democrat comes in with like crazy shit, a Democrat will say, I feel the same way about Mamdani in New York, where it's like if a Democrat does some crazy stuff, like their economic advisor will be like, hey, this is probably like too much, and they'll listen. Whereas Donald Trump will say, we should just come on the media and like say this for today, and let's like fucking do this, and nobody has the actual like the goal to actually check Trump and say like, hey, this is a really bad idea.
So I ask you this thing. So if hypothetically the economic advisors are out of the question, their policies will be passed, then would you agree with me that Kamala's policy?
Okay, so yeah, the point that is being made, right, is that Kamala Harris, the most poignant thing that you can point out into that most people disagreed with was the unrealized capital gains tax. And this is not something I looked into in-depthly. And one of the reasons why, as Destiny pronounced, is because this would never get passed. You know, I know it's weird because we live in big 2025 and the president is basically a fascist king right now. How it's supposed to work is that there's checks and balances, the court system and Congress. I agree with the sentiment. Most likely, if Kamala Harris tries to get this pushed through, it would get stopped and it would not get pushed through. Now, there might be some type of negotiation here and there with Congress and talking about, okay, let's have like a version of it, or at the very least, you know, we can't get this, but let's get this. So that more than likely would not get pushed through. The difference is that Donald Trump, the fascist authoritarian that he is, could just do tariffs because he fucking feels like, and Congress basically is useless. Is not doing shit about it because that's the job of Congress, not the king, Trump. So he's just doing whatever he wants and tariffing places all he wants because he feels like it. And that's just not how it's supposed to work. So that's the difference, is that even if there was a logical argument on the unrealized gains tax being worse than the universal tariffs implemented by Donald Trump, it doesn't matter because one is something that would be kind of weeded out or trimmed down through a democratic system, whereas another one is being kind of unilaterally pushed through a fascist system. So they're just not the same in terms of how it would work if they're both were president, if either was president. And you're completely correct. I mean, we'll kind of go through, because that's the other conversation when people talk about tariffs. It's like, who's paying the tariffs? The people. The people are paying the tariffs. But it's just Donald Trump has convinced people that the countries are paying the tariffs. That's just not how it works, like, at all.
These would be worse for the economy.
Like, possibly, but that would never happen. I don't think that Kamala's worst ideas would have actually
we're hedging it on basically it won't happen, to be clear.
Well, but like, do you understand there's a difference between Kamala and Trump, and that whatever Trump says goes? Like, hold on, like, let's be real. Like, for instance, when
it's not a buzzword. Donald Trump has all the tendencies of a fascist. Go listen to my podcast episode. I break down fascism for you. You'll get very educated.
Donald Trump held up the tariff sign, that was a total lie, right? When he said that
Liberation Day tariffs.
Yeah, when he said that every single country's tariffing us like this, that was a lie, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with his tariff policies. I'm not defending his tariff policies. I'm just saying Kamala's policies were absolutely disastrous and would have killed any investment.
Yeah, but the worst of Kamala's policies would have never made it past any economic advisors, right?
Also, acting like Kamala.
Can I get an acknowledgement on that? The worst of her policies would have never actually gotten passed, right?
I'm not going to debate whether or not they would have. I think
what was the worst economic policy that Biden passed?
The worst that he passed. He didn't have the same platform that Kamala did.
I just want to check. I just want to sanity check. Kamala Harris was the vice president under Joe Biden.
I am aware, but to be clear,
I'm on the stage. I get to ask a question, okay?
Yeah.
Stop. Kamala Harris would have been checked by her economic advisors if it was truly a disastrous policy.
Trump is a white nationalist. He's a white nationalist. He's a white nationalist, authoritarian fascist. He's authoritarian, but he ain't fascist. One of the key principles behind fascism is believing that the nation is greater than everything else, basically. And kind of consolidating power, utilizing that concept of the nation being greater than everything else, greater than religion, greater than family. You're able to control the people through that. So that's kind of the core principle of like fascism. And then there's like other tropes and then leading on how you manipulate the people to think that the nation's greater than everything else. Vote Kamala because she's just as shouldn't have the Donald Trump didn't move Congress. He just does whatever he wants and Congress listens because they're a bunch of cucks. He didn't move Congress. He's just Republicans are cowards. So I don't know what we're talking about there. Learn history based. I don't know. Dumb as Rashi is stupid as Biden. Oh, stupid as Biden.
But Donald Trump is not checked by anybody, right?
I don't necessarily agree with that. No.
Wait, what do you mean? You can't cite me.
Even if I grant that, I think you should be able to defend the policies in the party you support's platform at the very least. You're
not going to defend tariffs, though. You're conservative. You won't defend tariffs.
No, I'm defending it from the.
So you think we should be able to defend Kamala's fringe policies?
Let me finish. Let me finish, please. I'm defending it from a perspective of his policies are not as bad as Kamala's. That is not a strong stance. I agree, but at least I can defend it from that.
Wait. You think what would Kamala have passed that's worse than the Trump current tariff thing?
Wait, what? Sorry.
What would Kamala have passed reasonably that is worse than Trump's current tariff regime?
The unrealized gains tax, the 8% capital gains tax. Again, you can claim it.
Okay, they're going back and forth with the kind of unrealized realized gain tax. So the problem with this kid is that he's stuck on the point, which I do think is a interesting conversation point, because a version of it could potentially get passed or it just gets cut altogether. We've seen this happen time and time again where things try to get passed. I think the public option tried to get passed, but it didn't. So they had to compromise. And then something, I believe, was it student loans or something else? I don't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while. But there are different situations. It might have been student loans where it's like Congress just didn't agree. So it didn't get passed unilaterally through like an executive order or through the Trump, through the president being an authoritarian fascist. So, yeah. A lot of Destiny hate based. I don't care if you hate Destiny. That has nothing to do with me. I just care about the points. Populist, nationalist, who happens to be white. That's it. He's a authoritarian fascist nationalist. All three. Come on, all three. I'm curious about this though. Let's look at this. What are unrealized gains and how do they work? The appreciative assets market, which is not Yemen. How much is this? Should I talk about it on my podcast episode? I'll probably talk about this on my podcast because I have to not only learn what unrealized gains tax really are, like systematically, but also how they affect the economy. Is it worthwhile though? Like, I agree, this never would have gotten passed through Congress. So I'm just like, it's like a waste of my time, to be honest. I don't, from my understanding, it probably is bad, but it's just not something that would have gotten passed.
House, but you're hinging your argument on the policy platform wouldn't have happened. So
yeah, but
if you don't
like,
support your policy
we can reasonably say that because Democrats are
Kyle Kulinski over Destiny base.
actually concerned with fucking running the fucking country, right? You acknowledge that like the country is fucked by Republicans.
Chill on Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is delicious, although I can't have any Chick-fil-A today because it's Sunday. Chick-fil-A is delicious. Why are you talking about Destiny? Nobody's arguing about Destiny. Y'all just debating about Destiny just to debate about Destiny. This kid is roasting the panel, bro. He's not. We'll continue though.
Over and over again since Clinton, and Democrats have to come in and like clean shit up, right? So isn't it fair for us to say, well, Democrats should probably follow what their economic advisors say? Donald Trump has.
I don't think it's fair to say that your party's platform doesn't matter because it's not going to be passed.
No. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's that she would probably push in that direction. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is literally trying to find people to sit on the Federal Reserve who will cut interest rates because he knows it's the only way to save his horrible fucking economy, right? You don't think Kamala would ever do that, right? Sorry, like, wait, there's no history of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden pressuring the Federal Reserve to drop the interest rate like there is with Donald Trump, right?
I know off the top of my head, but yeah, it's just the policies themselves. Again, I just find a lot of trouble.
Bro, hold on. We got to live in the real world. Do you agree with that, right? We need to be in the real world.
Wait, what?
We need to be in the real world, right? Okay, yeah, Donald Trump right now, you acknowledge that Donald Trump
the real world. You still should.
I understand, and I'm not upset that the kid doesn't want to focus on how bad of a proposal this is. But it is super important to realize the efficacy on its implementation. Donald Trump can basically do whatever the fuck he wants because Republicans are a bunch of cucks. Kamala Harris will be extremely limited because all the Republicans would vote against it and all the center Democrats would vote against it. So it's not plausible. It's just not a serious conversation. They all said, we don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. You don't agree with it. Now let's talk about the thing that's actually affecting the country because people are not stopping the thing that everybody also disagrees with. Well, for the most part, all rational people disagree with when it comes to tariffs. Base, we got a Uncle Ruckus in the chat. Base.
In the real world right now, Donald Trump is talking about putting a new Federal Reserve Board person on the Federal Reserve that will follow his direct instruction, right? You acknowledge that, right?
I'm not entirely sure about that. What I'm talking about is, again, the platforms.
Donald Trump is he's literally trying to criminalize people on the Federal Reserve, like making up like fake bullshit indictments about like mortgage.
You've never heard him say too late, Powell, too late, Jerome. You're not aware of this? You're aware of Kamala's out.
Lone Wolf, what you're saying is just absolutely not true. Biden didn't just do whatever he wanted. That's just not true.
Do you know has Joe Biden ever said like, hey, we need to do this on the Federal Reserve?
Regardless, what I am asking about is the platform of the Democratic Party in the 2024 election, if it were to be passed compared to the platform, or actually no, I'd even say the implemented economic policies. I'm asking you guys to defend that, and you can't defend your own party's platform. And I
don't agree with Kamala's platform entirely, but when we're making a decision in the 2024 election, when I was making the decision, I was thinking which candidate's policies are more disastrous, and it's absolutely Donald Trump's 10 out of 10 times.
Because Donald Trump will pass anything, and none of you guys, for whatever reason, have the balls to actually fucking say, Donald Trump, no.
Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's bad if he is bullying the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell? If he is breaking that separation and trying to bully Jerome Powell into taking action, do you think that's bad?
Do I think it's bad if he's bullying Jerome Powell?
Do you know Jerome Powell?
Yes, I do know who Jerome Powell is. Yeah, I'd say it probably is, but again, what I'm talking about,
it's unprecedented, it's fascistic, and the president isn't supposed to have an effect on interest rates. Again, if the president is changing interest rates on his own instinct,
I don't think the government should have an effect on interest rates.
Okay, of course,
that's a whole other thing.
Okay, so when I'm looking at my two candidates and I see some of Kamala's fringe ideas that I disagree with, and I wouldn't defend. I'd actually, if I was talking to Kamala,
so what I'm asking is Trump's implemented policies versus the Democratic Party platform, and I haven't heard a defense of the Democratic Party platform. All I've heard is Trump. I'm asking about
Kamala Harris had a first-time homebuyers policy that created an incentive for people our age.
Yes, and
Kamala Harris had multiple small stimulus policies. Kamala Harris had multiple policies that helped small businesses start up. Kamala Harris had incremental policies that she would have put into place, and it's a more populist policy that probably would have gotten swatted down, just like Biden's student loan relief, just like the ambitious stuff that Biden tried got swatted down. This would happen to Kamala's policy.
Yeah, I'm not asking about what you think is going to get swatted down. I'm asking the policies themselves.
Okay, listen, this is the problem. I've asked you like 10 times about Trump's tariffs, and you go, I won't defend that. But then you go, I want you to defend Kamala's fringe policies that you don't support. I don't support
asking
capital
you to
gains
just
tax.
show me that the economy would function under Kamala's policies. Like there would be no investment.
You know what the problem is?
The guy keeps on going back to this, but they already said they disagree with the notion. And then the comparative analysis is its implementation. And you also disagreed with Trump's tariffs. It's just like nobody. All right, bro. Okay.
Completely stifled. And
okay, wait, let me go ahead. So the stock market growth has slowed down since Trump took office because of his tariffs. Unemployment has gone up since Trump took office because of his tariffs and a few other issues. Inflation.
Yeah, imagine how bad that would have been if we had a 25% tax on unrealized gains.
Base. Lone Wolf is so base, man. He forgot COVID existed. Based. You love when MAGA loves to ignore historical facts to help their agenda because they're so stupid. Love to see it.
Inflation has gone up since Trump took office. All of these indicators were going down as Biden was leaving. Trump has legitimately, you know what's not impressive? It's not impressive that the stock market's hitting all-time highs. It's impressive that Trump has crashed the stock market 3 separate times during his presidency and slowed the growth of it. That's the impressive part. Would Kamala Harris have crashed the stock market on April 9th? Liberation Day tariffs.
Would she have crashed the stock market? She would have completely destroyed it. She wanted a 28% tax, like an 8% increase on capital gains tax, a 25%.
What is so bad about an increase on capital gains tax?
It heavily disincentivizes investment.
No, it doesn't. What do you mean?
Yes, it does.
How does it?
What are you talking about? How does it? Basically, what you're doing is you're saying once you make money from your investment and you take it out, then you're going to get less of that. You're less incentivized if you're going to get less at the end.
I just want to tell you, I got a lot of money invested, okay? Do you think that like people with more than 5 or 10 or $15 million in investment account are thinking like, oh my God, 25% capital gains and 20%? Like, I'm not going to be able to invest my money anymore. What do you think you're going to do? Hide it in their fucking
no. First, she's taking 25% when your money is not even pulled out yet. When it's just there, materializing.
No, are you talking about the wealth tax?
Then,
Are you talking about like a wealth tax?
I'm talking about the unrealized gains tax.
No, listen, I agree with you. The unrealized capital gains tax is so stupid.
It's so dumb.
But the thing is, here's the difference. When Kamala Harris says that when Democrats have a really dumb idea, they can't get it done. We can look at examples of this. For Biden wanted to do like OSHA mandates for vaccines, and he wanted to do like the private education stuff for like forgiving student loans. And when they were stopped, Biden said, oh, well, I guess they're stopped. Now, the far left attacks him for that, but the reality is that Democrats respect the 3 branches of government. Donald Trump says, I'm going to do as much as I can until I basically have to be forced to actually stop the particular thing.
Yes.
So Kamala wanted to do
can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Basically, so you agree if she was able to get all of her policies passed, basically if she acted like you claim Trump does?
But this is not living in reality. Because Dems don't do this. I know there's some like brainwashed MAGA that think that this is the case. If it was the case, I mean, Joe Biden would have gotten rid of all our student loan debt, and I wouldn't be mad at that. I low-key would be like, hey, man, Biden, you want to be a little authoritarian? You want to be like a Trump? Get rid of my student loans. But he didn't. He didn't get rid of my student loans. Part of it got taken away, but not all of it, of course, because there's a limitation on what the president can do because he's not a king. Okay, he's not a king. So when it comes down to like this situation regarding like Joe Biden and what he could do, I mean, he also wanted to do that immigration bill that would have added more judges and added more security to the border. But Trump said, you know what? I don't want that to happen because I need something to run on for the election. So all the Republicans became bitch made and decided against it. Joe Biden also wasn't like heavily against TikTok, but Republicans were like, you know what? TikTok is with China, TikTok, China, TikTok. And they were like, let's get rid of it because Joe Biden is helping China. And then when Trump keeps on delaying the TikTok ban and go, we love TikTok now. Yay, TikTok. So it's just like a fucking clown show. So yeah, it just doesn't live in reality when it comes down to Dems and what they would do if they were in office. Now, who knows? Something could change where Dems becomes like an authoritarian. So maybe not in the same way. They'll probably just be more like, if we're talking about the radical yin and yang of like what is Trump's yang or yin, whatever, would probably be more communistic, definitely authoritarian, but communistic. If someone like that reached an office, I'll be one of the first people to say, yo, get him out of the fucking office too. But that just doesn't live in reality because Dems have morals. Yes.
Which then would you agree that her policies
Even
are
if
worse?
that was the case, it wouldn't be as disastrous as the insane tariff regime that Donald Trump has enacted, where Donald Trump is the sole gatekeeper.
I think having some inflation from tariffs is not as bad as having literally no investment.
Hold on, we wouldn't have literally no investment. You think American businesses are worth investing in at a higher capital gains rate?
Investment would go down like this. Like
You realize manufacturing.
Why would you invest in American companies knowing they were going to be like reciprocally tariffed by every single other country on the planet?
Tariffs are way worse for
Yeah,
incentivizing.
tariffs are so bad.
You realize manufacturing in the United States has gone
Again,
down.
this is just deflecting to tariffs. I want again address the
Yeah, but like what we're trying to say is that like the tariffs would have never happened under Kamala because the economic advisor would say, "Hey, these tariffs are a really bad idea." But for Trump, none of the Republicans actually bring it up and say, like, "Hey, don't do this."
Would say that actually they would have overturned his initial tariffs from from his 2016 presidency, but that's besides the point. She's not anti-tariff, to be clear. But
wait. There's a difference between Kamala wanting to do surgical targeted tariffs on countries versus Trump placing tariffs on every fucking country, save Russia and North Korea.
Yeah.
That's retarded. That's different.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the tariffs were a good policy.
Okay,
I think
how come you can say that? How come you can say that? But when I say I don't think unrealized gains is a good policy, that's like the end of the world.
Because I'm asking you to defend it comparing the two parties.
But they do not defend it. They do not agree with the concept. And to kind of get to that level of the conversation, you would have to make the logical argument that it would be applied, right? If we're going to have a real conversation, you would have to make that argument. We knew coming into this, the Republicans were going to be a cuck and Trump was going to do universal tariffs because he said he was going to do universal tariffs. Anytime the Dems want to do something that is a little bit more unhinged, they are limited. I think the biggest litmus test in terms of how far, like, social democratic, more left-leaning economic policies can go, because if I were to be honest, for me, I've always been more like economically conservative, not current conservatism. That doesn't exist. MAGA's stupid. But like before Trump, probably more economically conservative. I think will be our first time in a very long time to see the efficacy of like economic socialist type policies, not like straight out socialism, or like social under the lens of democratic economic policy. So you could just call it social democrat with Mamdani in New York, right? So we'll see if Mamdani's policies can really be pushed through with checks and balances. And if it can, it probably sheds a interesting light on whether or not this can be implemented on the national stage. But I just extremely doubt it. I just don't think it's possible. I think all Republicans say no against everything Democrats say, and then people who are on the like center left typically say no too. So it's just not possible.
I thought which was worse?
Yeah. Which one's worse is what I'm asking.
Okay, and I think it's Trump's. I think that Trump is slow.
Loan. Joe Biden kept some of the China tariffs for sure. But the problem in the first term is not that Trump did tariffs. The problem is universal tariffs. Universal tariffs are the problem, right? Just doing tariffs just cause. Tariffs on China, fair enough. Tariffs on Russia, fair enough. Tariffs on everybody. That is dumb. That is dumb.
Growth of the stock market, increased unemployment. His tariffs have been such a disaster, they've actually disincentivized investments. So for the tariffs, for example, what you want is continuity between administrations. So when, say, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom gets in, that administration still has the incentive for companies to come to the United States. When you place tariffs via executive order, like Trump is doing, it's all via executive order, right? When you do that, there's no continuity. So in 4 years, companies don't have any reason to be here. Like when you're making these investment decisions, they are long-term investments. A company's coming to the United States, that's decades, dude. That's like you're there for like 20, 30 years to gain a profit. When there's no continuity, what they see right now are 2 trade zones in the United States. One big red trade zone that says in the world. 2 trade zones in the world. One red blob that says the United States. It says do not go through the United States. They have a 10% tariff on everyone. Then there's the rest of the world, which has an average tariff of I think like 3.5%. So when you're looking at your 2 shipping routes, do you want to ship it to the United States and get tariffed to shit, or the rest of the planet, which has a lower tariff rate? Do you get what I'm saying here? Like the incentive structure that Trump is creating is not strong. The stock market is slowed and growth. Unemployment.
Again, I'm asking. I still haven't heard an adequate defense of Kamala's.
The stock market would be higher if Kamala were in office. The stock market would
the whole economy would be doing better.
The whole economy would be doing better.
Again,
we would have this whole tariff
increase in capital gains tax and a 25% unrealized gains tax. That's hard to believe.
Who cares?
the investors that
I don't,
run
dude.
the
I'm an
stock-
investor. I don't give a fuck. Why would you care about the 25% versus 15% or whatever? Like, it doesn't matter that much.
It's 0% right now.
I'm a what?
You'd literally just
Wait. What do you think I would do with my money otherwise if it was 25% versus 15%?
versus 0% unrealized gains?
Wait. Oh, unrealized? The unrealized shit would have never passed.
Unrealized is so good, dude. I hate unrealized tax.
Okay, so I think we agree on unrealized gains.
Wait. Ready? This is the killer question. What was the worst economic policy that Biden realized?
The worst economic policy.
The worst economic, the worst one. Wait, the fact that you even have to think about it speaks volumes to that, right?
Well,
Donald Trump.
No.
Ignore these guys. Fuck, they're dick riders, okay? But like, I'm saying that, like,
because I mean, regardless,
I'm with Destiny in there. One thing that these type of atmospheres, I'm always like hesitant against because it's kind of my same thing with Jubilee. Yes, it's like quick fire. Let's have a conversation, but like the outside noise kind of detracts on how productive this conversation can be, because people can get a little shook, people can start feeling dismissive, or people can get like in what's the word, not enforced, not engaged, I forgot the word, with like how people kind of put a battery in their back, so to speak.
I don't think Biden and Kamala had the same platform.
Allowing millions of people into this is depressing native wages. That's just factually not true. And that's not Biden's policy. He didn't allow people to come in. It was a response after the executive order Trump did that was COVID related was done. So people came in. I already explained this. I mean, if you don't understand 2 + 2 = 4, then I can't help you. But
So I of course have to think about it when I was thinking.
I might be too far gone. Kamala was the vice president, right?
I think so.
She was, but she's very Biden.
Biden was Obama's vice president,
all
right?
4 policies I listed at the start were policies that Biden did not have in his
Okay, but I'm just saying that like Biden seemed to do an okay job at guiding the economy. Same way with Obama, right?
No, I think that Medicare Medicare for all was disastrous.
We didn't get Medicare for all.
Or sorry, Obamacare.
Wait, if the ACA was such a fucking disaster, why does Trump try to claim it so much? When Trump is like, oh, we need to have like the increased rate of where you're like 25 or 26.
In general is absolutely terrible. But
wait, have you seen the graph?
Okay, let me break it down. Let me break it down, Sean. Let me help you understand. I'm gonna speak slowly for you. Biden's policy was not to let these people in. Biden inherited Trump's executive order. When it ended, a lot of people came into the country. So his policy wasn't to let people in. He inherited a situation where a lot of people were coming in. I know that's hard to like understand for some reason. I don't know.
Where it's like the healthcare costs they increased slower under Obamacare than they did under the when they were prior to that.
Maybe if I say it in a Trump voice,
what part of it is bad? It's inherently inflationary on that.
Everything, bro. Healthcare is more expensive because we have more fucking healthcare. All of it is inflationary. What do you mean? Of course.
Yeah, but no, the inflation actually did increase after the.
Okay, Lone Wolf. Let me speak in a very slow. When Trump's executive order, it ended because it was constrained to COVID. It ended regardless of Biden. So when it ended, that means a lot of people were trying to come into the country because they couldn't come in before because there was an executive order. I know it's so hard for people to understand simple words if they're not like lied to you by Donald Trump. And maybe if Donald Trump's dick in your mouth, then you will start listening better. I don't know. It's like common sense. I don't know what the hell. I can't help you. I couldn't help you. Oh man.
Obamacare.
Yeah, but it was increasing at a slower rate, right? It's your first derivative, right? It's increased at a slower. The rate of change is lower than the first rate of change. Than it was.
No,
it was. Wait, okay, hold on.
Okay. All right, I need to focus on this. But someone made an actual different point. Now, he could have done something in response. That is something you could criticize him, but it's objectively wrong to say that was his policy, and it's objectively wrong to say that he allowed this to happen. So if you're trying to say A, Biden, you should have been extremely harsh because of the influx that was going to happen. That's a different point altogether. Trump stopped illegal immigration before because of his title, because a lot of immigrants were coming in the first couple of years. Then he was like, you know what, COVID, so all of you can't come in. I know COVID's just when it comes to COVID, the only time their brains start working, vaccines suck. Everything else that Trump did that was terrible, that didn't happen. You guys, it's not in your brains. It's not in your brain.
You're about to hold on. You're about to fucking completely own me. Okay, ready? This is your chance to totally own me. What was Trump's alternative again?
What was Trump's alternative?
What was the Trump alternative
to the healthcare?
To the ICA? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
There's a reason why you're not.
I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you about Trump. I am asking you about Kamala.
Wait. So, hold on. Wait, I'm going to check with Adam. I'm going to confirm with Adam real quick. It was Biden who was like, we should cap the cost on certain drugs, right?
Yeah.
Wait, and hold on. Wait. Didn't Trump say we should keep doing that, but call it like the Trump shit, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
All you guys are doing is just attacking the other side, but you won't defend your own.
I think shit. They're horrible.
When he asked what the worst policy that Biden realized is, and we didn't have an answer.
I'm asking about Kamala, not Biden.
No, it's not that you didn't have an answer. It's that your lack of answers show that there were mechanisms in place during Biden's term that would shoot down.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Where's that guy in the crowd? Biden was the best. But no, like there were mechanisms in place that would shoot down Trump's awful economic policy, Biden's awful economic policy, or like policies that he was trying to pass that were out there. Trump, we haven't seen that. Now the Supreme Court is hearing the tariff argument right now, but we've just seen so much leeway with the tariffs that it's already been bad for the economy. I think the question that you asked was which one would be worse. But then you keep trying to put us down on Kamala, and we'll answer any of Trump's.
Can we say, what would Kamala Harris do that's as bad as the current tariff shit?
Unrealized gains, 25%.
She would have gotten that passed though, right?
Okay, so if your argument's hinging on that, that's fine.
Our argument is that Democrats follow rule of law. Yes, that is the argument. That's kind of been the whole fucking deal with the Trump.
Okay, so you agree then? It's just you only agree that it would have been better because it wouldn't have passed.
Yes,
there are guardrails.
You agree that it would have passed, right? You agree that it would have passed, right?
I don't necessarily think it would. I'm asking you to defend your party's platform.
No. He's not saying that it would be better because it wouldn't have passed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. It's like something that is fringe just wouldn't get passed. I don't understand what is so complicated for this guy to understand. I get the question, but it's just such a fringe issue because it's not plausible in terms of how it's going to get implemented that it really doesn't meet the reality of like what is possible. And what is possible is that Donald Trump can do whatever the fuck he wants. But
he's saying that there were actual guardrails and mechanisms in place that the Democrats respected that Republicans clearly don't respect. Not to take it
was in the party platform, to be clear.
But unrealized tax gains is not in the Democratic Party platform.
Read the 2024 platform.
Unrealized.
Yes.
I mean, then that's dumb. I'm not going to defend that. But listen, this one fringe policy from Kamala is far outweighed by Donald Trump's economic retardation on a daily basis. Kamala Harris would not have bullied Jerome Powell, bullying the Fed chair.
My internet's not feeling it. What's going on? Cats for Trump 2028. I know calling out MAGA is not something you're used to. Cult brain. I call out cultists. I'm sorry. That's my job. I wish. Okay, why is it tweaking? All right, we'll end it there. Not sure why.
Like Trump is doing. It's all the executive order, right? When you do that, there's no continuity. So in 4 years, companies don't have any reason to be here. Like when you're making these.
We'll end this video here. There's